May 17, 1943, 12:28 a.m. The Emchen Dam, Germany. A massive concrete wall, 130 feet tall, 2,100 feet long, holding back 140 million tons of water. Behind it, the Ruhr Valley. Germany's industrial heartland, 70% of German steel production, weapons factories, coal mines, the engine of the Nazi war machine. The dam provides hydroelectric power, water for factories. Without it, German war production collapses. The Allies need to destroy it, but there's a problem, a big problem. The dam is massive, concrete 100 feet thick at the base, anti-torpedo nets in the water, anti-aircraft guns on top. Impossible to bomb from high altitude, impossible to torpedo. Every attack has failed. The dam stands, impregnable, but now something's different. A British Lancaster bomber flies toward the dam. At night, flying at 60 feet above the water. 60 feet, lower than some buildings. The pilot, Wing Commander Guy Gibson, lines up, releases a bomb. But this bomb doesn't fall. It bounces, like a stone skipping across a pond. Bounce, 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 straight toward the dam wall. It hits the wall, sinks to the bottom, explodes at the perfect depth. 30 feet underwater, boom, the dam cracks. Water starts pouring through. Then, catastrophic. Failure. 140 million tons of water released. A 30-foot tsunami tears through the Ruhr Valley, destroying everything. This is Operation Chastise. The Dambusters raid, the most ingenious bombing mission in history. 19 bombers, 133 men, one crazy scientist with a bouncing bomb, and 8 hours that changed the war. 1942. The war is not going well for the Allies. Germany controls most of Europe. Their war machine is unstoppable. Tanks, planes, weapons, all built in the Ruhr Valley. The Ruhr, Germany's industrial heart, fed by hydroelectric dams. The Emchen, the Eder, the Sorp. These dams power everything. Factories, mines, cities. British bombers have tried to destroy them. High-altitude bombing raids, dropping thousands of tons of explosives. Nothing. The dams are too strong, too thick. Bombs bounce off or miss entirely. Torpedoes? Anti-torpedo nets stop them. Can't get close. The dams seem invincible. Germany's industrial might continues unchecked. But one man has an idea, a crazy idea. An engineer named Barnes Wallis. What if we don't drop the bomb? What if we bounce it? Barnes Wallis, 55 years old, British aircraft designer. Brilliant engineer, obsessive perfectionist. He spent his career designing bombers, the Wellington bomber. Geodetic airframe design, genius work, but now he has a new obsession, the German dams. The problem, conventional bombs don't work. Here's why. High-altitude bombing. Bombs dropped from 20,000 feet are inaccurate, missed by hundreds of yards. Don't damage the dam. Low-altitude bombing, more accurate. But the bomb explodes on top of the dam. Concrete is strongest at the top. No significant damage. Torpedoes. Could work, but anti-torpedo nets stop them. Wallis thinks the dam is weakest at the base, underwater. If we could explode a bomb 30 feet underwater, our IGHT against the dam wall. But how? How do you get a bomb to the base of a dam? The breakthrough. Wallis is skipping stones with his grandchildren at a lake, watching stones bounce across the water. He thinks, what if a bomb could bounce? Like a stone? He runs calculations, physics, hydrodynamics. It could work. A cylindrical bomb, spinning backwards. Released at low altitude, would skip across the water, bounce over torpedo nets, hit the dam, sink, explode underwater. It's insane, but theoretically possible. The tests. Wallis starts testing in his backyard with marbles in bathtubs. Then model bombs and tanks. It works sort of. Sometimes the bomb bounces, sometimes it sinks, sometimes it spins wrong. He refines, calculates, tests again. AGAIN. He needs specific bomb shape, cylinder, not sphere, backspin, 425 RPM, specific speed 240 miles per hour, specific altitude 60 feet, specific distance from target 425 yards when released. Everything has to be perfect. One error equals failure. The pitch. Wallace takes his idea to the Air Ministry. British military command, I can destroy the dams with bouncing bombs. They laugh. Bouncing bombs? That's ridiculous. Science fiction. Wallace, I have the calculations. I have test data. It works. Air Ministry. Even if it works, you need to fly at 60 feet at night over enemy territory. That's suicide, Wallace. Yes, but it's the only way. They reject him multiple times. Too risky. Too experimental. Wallace doesn't give up. He goes higher, contacts Winston Churchill directly. Shows him films of test bombs bouncing, calculations, designs. Churchill is intrigued. This is mad. But war requires mad ideas. February 1943. Churchill approves Operation Chastise. The dam raid. Orders. Build the bombs. Find the pilots. Do it by May, before water levels drop in summer. Wallace has 3 months to perfect the bomb, to train the crews, to plan the most dangerous bombing mission in history. Wallace has approval. But now he needs pilots. Crazy pilots. Willing to fly 60 feet above water. At night. Into the most heavily defended region of Germany. Who's insane enough to volunteer for that? March 1943. The Royal Air Force needs pilots for a special operation. They don't say what, just that it's dangerous, experimental, probably suicidal. They need the best. Experienced bomber crews, pilots who can fly low, navigators who can calculate precisely, bomb aimers with perfect timing. One man is chosen to lead, Wing Commander Guy Gibson. Guy Gibson, 24 years old, already a veteran. 170th Combat Missions. Distinguished Flying Cross, BAR, multiple commendations. He's one of the best bomber pilots in the RAF. Aggressive, fearless, demanding. He's just finished a tour, was supposed to rest. Instead, he gets, "We have a special mission. Interested?" Gibson, "What's the mission?" "Can't tell you. Yet, but it's important. And dangerous." Gibson, "I'm in, recruiting the crews." Gibson handpicks his crews. He wants the best, and he gets them. 133 men total. Pilots, navigators, bomb aimers, flight engineers, wireless operators, gunners. Average age, 22. Most have 20 to 30 combat missions. Some have 50. All volunteers. They form 617 Squadron. RAF Bomber Command, based at RAF Scampton, Lincolnshire, England. Their motto, Après moi le déluge, after me, the flood. Fitting, given what they're about to do. The training, for 6 weeks they train, hard. But they still don't know the target. They practice. Low altitude flying, 150 feet, then 100 feet, then 60 feet. At night, precision navigation, to the second, to the yard. Maintaining exact speed. 240 miles per hour, not 239, not 241, exactly 240. Coordinated attacks, multiple aircraft. Simultaneous bombing. The training is brutal and dangerous. 2 aircraft crashed during training, 14 men killed, before the mission even starts. But the survivors get good, really good. They can fly a Lancaster bomber at 60 feet, at night, at 240 miles per hour, within yards of the target. The bomb, meanwhile, Wallace is perfecting upkeep, the bouncing bomb. It's huge, 9,250 pounds, shaped like a massive cylinder, 60 inches in diameter. Inside, 6,600 pounds of Torpex explosive, more powerful than TNT. The bomb is mounted under the aircraft, on a special rig with a motor that spins it backwards, 500 RPM, before release. The Lancaster bombers are modified. Bomb bay doors removed. Special release mechanism installed. Extra fuel tanks for the long flight. May 15, 1943. Final briefing. Gibson gathers the crews. He reveals the target for the first time. Gentlemen, we're attacking the German dams. The Mchen, the Eder, the Sorp. He shows aerial photos, models, explains the bouncing bomb concept. The crews are stunned. This is insane. Brilliant, but insane. Gibson, this is the most important bombing mission of the war. If we succeed, we cripple German industry, shorten the war, save thousands of lives. He pauses. It's also the most dangerous mission. Many of us won't come back. I won't lie about that. He looks at each man. If anyone wants out, speak now. No shame. This is voluntary. Silence. Nobody moves. They're all in. Right. We go tomorrow night. May 16th. Weather permitting. 617 Squadron is ready. 19 Lancaster bombers. 133 men. One bouncing bomb per aircraft. They've trained for weeks. They know the route, the targets, the technique. But they still haven't seen a bouncing bomb in action against a real dam. That's happening tonight, May 16th, 1943. The weather is perfect. Clear skies. Full moon. Ideal conditions. At 9:30 p.m., the first Lancaster takes off. Destination: Germany, the Ruhr Valley, the dams. They're flying into the most heavily defended airspace in Europe at 60 feet, where one mistake equals death. 8 hours, 19 aircraft, 133 men, against the impossible. May 16, 1943, 9:30 p.m., RAF Scampton. 19 Lancaster bombers take off, in 3 waves. Wave 1, 9 aircraft, led by Guy Gibson. Target, Mchen Dam, then Eder Dam if successful. Wave 2, 5 aircraft. Target, Sorp Dam. Different approach needed. Wave 3, 5 aircraft. Reserve. Attack whatever needs it. They fly low, 100 feet initially, then dropping to 60 feet over water. Why low? To avoid German radar. Stay under detection. But flying low is dangerous, especially at night. Hit a tree? You die. Clip a power line? You die. The route. The route is carefully planned, avoiding major German cities, heavy flak areas, fighter bases. But it's long, 400 miles to the Ruhr, over occupied Holland, over Germany. The Lancasters fly in loose formation, navigating by landmarks, rivers, roads, towns. Some crews see Dutch civilians, waving, cheering. The Dutch hate the Germans. They know these bombers are heading to attack Germany. The losses begin. Not all make it to Germany. Lancaster AJB, piloted by Flight Lieutenant Bob Barlow, hits power lines in Holland, crashes, explodes, entire crew killed. Lancaster AJE, piloted by Flight Lieutenant Bill Astel, flies into German flak, shot down, all killed. Lancaster AJM, piloted by Pilot Officer Warner Otley, hit by flak near the Dutch-German border, crashes, crew killed, 3 aircraft lost. Before even reaching the targets, 21 men dead. The remaining 16 aircraft press on, crossing into Germany. The Lancasters cross into Germany. German flak increases. Searchlights sweep the skies. But they're flying so low that many ground defenses can't engage. They're under the minimum elevation of AA guns. It's terrifying, flying 60 feet above ground, at 240 miles per hour in darkness, with only moonlight for visibility. One pilot later said, "You couldn't think about crashing. If you thought about it, you'd freeze. So you just fly 12 a.m., midnight. Wave 1 reaches the Mchen Dam. 9 aircraft, ready to attack. Gibson radios. This is it. Formation. Attack positions. The most dangerous part, the actual bombing run. The Mchen Dam is heavily defended. Anti-aircraft guns on the towers, searchlights, machine guns. And the bombing run requires perfect precision. Fly at exactly 60 feet. Exactly 240 miles per hour. Exactly 425 yards from the dam when releasing. One error equals the bomb doesn't work. Miss the dam. Waste the bomb. Maybe die trying. Gibson goes first. To lead by example. To show it can be done. 12:15 a.m. Guy Gibson begins his attack run. On the Emchen Dam, he flies low over the hills, drops to 60 feet above the lake, lines up on the dam. German AA guns open fire. Tracers light up the sky. Searchlights lock on. Gibson's bomb aimer, Spafford, looks through his sight, waits for the perfect moment. TWO spotlights mounted under the aircraft converge on the water when they're exactly 60 feet up. Steady, steady. Bomb gone. The bomb releases. Spins backward. 500 RPM. Hits the water. Bounce. Bounce. Free skips. Straight at the dam. It hits the wall. Sinks. 30 feet underwater. Next to the dam wall. Gibson radios. Bomb detonated. Standing by. 10 seconds later. Boom. Massive explosion. Water column 1,000 feet high. The dam shakes, but holds. No breach. Not yet. The second attack. Flight Lieutenant Hoppy Hopgood goes next. Lines up. A fire is intense now. The Germans know what's happening. Hopgood's Lancaster is flaming, but he continues the run, releases the bomb. The bomb bounces, but it's released too late. Overshoots the dam, explodes beyond it. Hopgood's plane is critically damaged. He tries to gain altitude. Crashes into a field. Explodes. Only 2 crew members survive. Captured by Germans. Attacks 3, 4, 5. Flight Lieutenant Mickey Martin attacks. Bomb bounces. Hits dam. Explodes. No breach yet. Squadron Leader Dingy Young attacks. Bomb bounces. Hits. Explodes. Still holding. Flight Lieutenant David Maltby attacks. 5th bomb. 5th explosion. Then, crack. The dam wall splits. Water starts pouring through. Then, collapse. A 250-foot section of the dam fails. 140 million tons of water released. A 30-foot wave surges down the Ruhr Valley, destroying everything. Emchen, destroyed. Gibson radios base. Emchen Dam breached. Moving to secondary target. Eder Dam, the Eder Dam, the Eder Dam, 50 miles away. Even more difficult. Surrounded by hills, difficult approach, no straight run. Have to dive down, level off, release, then pull up hard to avoid hitting the hillside. And it's later now. 1:30 a.m. German defenses are alert, ready. Gibson leads 3 aircraft to the Eder, 5 bombs remaining. Flight Lieutenant Dave Shannon attacks first. The approach is too hard. He aborts. Comes around again. Aborts a GAIN. The hills are too steep, can't line up. Finally, 3rd attempt. Releases bomb. It bounces. Hits the dam. Explodes. No breach. Flight Lieutenant Les Monroe attacks. Bomb bounces. Hits. Explodes. Small crack appears. Flight Lieutenant Henry Maudsley attacks. But his bomb releases late. Hits the top of the dam. Explodes prematurely. The explosion damages Maudsley's aircraft. He tries to fly back to England, crashes in Germany. All killed. Flight Lieutenant David Shannon, 2nd attack releases. Perfect run. Bomb bounces. Hits. Explodes. The crack widens. Then, boom. The Eder Dam collapses. 202 million tons of water released. Another massive flood. Eder, destroyed. The Sorp Dam. Wave 2 attacks the Sorp Dam. Different design. Earth and concrete. Can't be bounced bombed. They have to drop bombs directly on top, hoping to crack it. 5 aircraft attempt. Only 2 survive to attack. They drop bombs on the dam crest. Minor damage, but no breach. The Sorp holds. By 3 a.m., the raid is over. Results. Emchen Dam. Destroyed Eder Dam. Destroyed Sorp Dam. Damaged cost. 8 aircraft lost. Of 19, 53 aircrew killed. Of 133, 3 captured 40% losses. But 2 major dams destroyed. The dams are broken. Water is flooding the Ruhr Valley. But at what cost? And did it actually matter strategically? May 17, 1943. Dawn. The Ruhr Valley is devastated. The Munchen Dam breach released 140 million tons of water. A 30-foot tsunami. Towns, factories, coal mines, power plants, bridges, roads, all destroyed or heavily damaged. The Eder Dam breach, 202 million tons. More flooding, more destruction. The German casualties. The floods kill approximately 1,600 people, mostly German civilians and workers, but also 749 Ukrainian and Soviet forced laborers, prisoners working in German factories, trapped in camps when the water hit, drowned. This is the dark side of the raid. Civilians and prisoners dying. The industrial impact. German war production in the Ruhr, crippled, temporarily. 11 factories destroyed or severely damaged. Hydroelectric power cut by 75% for weeks. Coal mines flooded, months to pump out and restart. Steel production dropped significantly. The raid disrupts German industry for 3 to 6 months. BUT. The Germans repair the dams. Fast. By September 1943, both dams are rebuilt, operational again. By late 1943, German production is back to pre-raid levels. So, did the raid actually achieve anything long-term? Historians still debate the Dambusters' effectiveness. Pro. Temporary disruption of German industry. Forced Germans to divert resources to dam defense and repair. Massive morale boost for Allies, proof that precision bombing could work. Con. High casualties, 40% loss rate. Temporary impact only. Dams rebuilt in months. Civilian deaths, ethical questions, resources spent on raid could have been used elsewhere. The truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. The raid didn't win the war, but it helped, and it showed what was possible. The raid is over. The damage is done. But what happened to the survivors, and how do we remember the raid today? Of the 133 men who flew on the Dambusters raid, 53 died. 3 were captured. 77 returned to base. Exhausted, traumatized, but alive. Guy Gibson survived the raid, became a national hero. Awarded the Victoria Cross, Britain's highest military honor. He was pulled from combat operations, sent on speaking tours, public relations. He hated it, wanted to fly, wanted to fight. He pulled strings, got back on flying duty. September 19th, 1944. Gibson was flying a Mosquito bomber, raid over Germany. His plane was hit or malfunctioned. Nobody knows for sure. He crashed in Holland, killed, age 26, one of Britain's greatest pilots, dead before the war even ended. The others, many surviving Dambusters, continued flying, completing their tours. Some died in later missions. Others survived the war, went home, tried to build normal lives. But many suffered PTSD, nightmares, survivor's guilt. Why did THEY live when 53 died? Barnes Wallis. Barnes Wallis, the engineer, lived until 1979, age 92. He was knighted, became one of Britain's most famous engineers. But he was haunted by the raid, by the deaths, the civilian casualties, the forced laborers who drowned. In later years, he said, "I wish I'd never invented that bomb. So many died because of my idea." His daughter said he carried guilt for the rest of his life. Even though he helped win the war, the memory. A film is released, The Dambusters, starring Richard Todd as Guy Gibson. It's a massive hit, iconic. The Dambusters become legends. The film immortalizes the raid, the bouncing bomb, the bravery, but it also sanitizes it. Doesn't show the German civilian casualties, the prisoners who drowned, the moral complexity. It's heroic, triumphant, clean. Reality was messy. Today, the Dambusters are remembered as heroes, and they were incredibly brave, skilled, dedicated. But the raid itself, complex, not purely heroic, not purely effective. It achieved some goals, failed at others. Killed civilians and combatants alike. War is never clean. The Dambusters prove that. So what is the legacy? What do we learn from the Dambusters? Today, you can visit the Emschiene and Eder dams. They're operational, rebuilt after the war, and there are memorials to the Dambusters, to the German civilians who died. To the forced laborers, all remembered, all mourned. So, what do the Dambusters teach us? Lesson 1. Innovation wins wars. Barnes-Wallace bouncing bomb was insane, but it worked. Sometimes you need crazy ideas, unconventional solutions, thinking outside the box. The Dambusters proved precision bombing was possible, influenced tactics for the rest of the war. Lesson 2. Bravery has a cost. 53 men died, 40% casualty rate. That's astronomical. For what? Temporary disruption of German industry? A morale boost? Was it worth 53 lives? There's no easy answer. The survivors thought so. They volunteered. They can EW the risks, but it's still a tragedy. 53 families destroyed. For a mission with debatable long-term impact. Lesson 3. War is never clean. The Dambusters killed Germans, civilians, forced laborers, women and children. The raid wasn't surgically precise. It was devastating, indiscriminate in many ways. That's war. There are no clean victories. Every win has a cost. Lesson 4. Heroes are complex. The Dambusters were heroes, brave, skilled, selfless. But the raid itself was morally complex. Good and bad, heroic and tragic. We can honor the men and still question the mission. Both are true. Both matter. The Dambusters represent the best and worst of war. Ingenuity, bravery, sacrifice, but also death, destruction, moral ambiguity. They didn't win World War II, but they contributed in their own complex way. And they proved, with enough courage and innovation, even the impossible becomes possible. The bouncing bomb worked, the dams broke, the mission succeeded. At a cost, always at a cost. That's the Dambusters, heroes, innovators, and casualties of war. All at once. Today, only one surviving Lancaster bomber still flies. Avro Lancaster PA-474. It participates in air shows, displays, memorials. When it flies low over the crowd, at 60 feet, like the Dambusters did, people feel it, the roar, the power. And they remember, 133 men, 19 aircraft, one impossible mission. The Dambusters prove that with innovation, training, and courage, humans can achieve the extraordinary. They flew into hell at 60 feet at night, into the most defended airspace in Europe, and they broke the unbreakable, destroyed the indestructible. 53 didn't come home. They paid the ultimate price. But they're not forgotten. Their names are carved in memorials, taught in schools, honored every year. Barnes-Wallace bouncing bomb changed warfare, showed that engineering could be a weapon as powerful as any gun. Guy Gibson led his men into the impossible, and they succeeded. The Dambusters, 617 Squadron, the men who bounced bombs and broke dams, and changed history. I'm war-bound secrets, and sometimes the craziest ideas work. If you visit Germany today, go see the München Dam. It's beautiful, rebuilt, stronger than before. Stand where Guy Gibson flew, 60 feet above the water. Look at the dam wall, and try to imagine flying at that height. At night, at 240 miles per hour, releasing a spinning bomb that bounces across water. It sounds impossible. But they did it. The Dambusters weren't superhuman. They were young men, average age 22, many on their first major mission. But they trained, they prepared, they executed. Perfectly. 53 died doing it. We can't forget them, but 77 succeeded. And they proved the impossible was possible. That's the legacy, not the dams. Not the industrial damage. The legacy is, humans can achieve anything with innovation, with courage, with sacrifice. The Dambusters. After them, the flood, and after the flood, history changed.